Okay, I thought I would jump on and have this conversation because a lot of you ask all the time, did I matter? Does the narcissist miss me? What are they thinking about? Because I know it's really common in this community. You're trauma bonded. This is something that you're ruminating, that you're stressing about. And you can literally feel like after a narcissist, that you're going through this shocking addiction. You're actually trying to recover yourself, you're trying to feel normal again, and it can feel really, really hard to get through this. And it's really common to be thinking, well, what is going on with the narcissist? What are they going through? Are they missing me? Did I actually matter? And I want to address that because often, absolutely, you mattered, but it's about mattering in the right way and working out how you actually mattered to this person. So, guys, let me know that you can hear and see me okay. Say hi in the comments and where you're from. And I hope you're having an awesome day wherever you are in the world or evening. And I would love to hear from you and see you in the chat. All right. Okay, we've got the chat going. Hi, Brick. How you going? Okay, so let's jump into this conversation. Did you matter? Is the narcissist missing you? Or this toxic person, or this unconscious person, or this selfish person, or even just this painful person? There's two ways that somebody misses you. Now, it all depends on how they love you, why they love you, and also do they have regret or do they have remorse? Because they're two very different things. So, remorse is coming from a place of empathy. Now, we know that that's not a word synonymous with narcissists, but true remorse is I feel really bad about hurting you. I feel really bad about what I've done to you and that it didn't work out with you. And I see you, I feel you, I understand your pain, and I'm really sorry for that. And not only do I miss you, but I would really like to make amends for that. I want to do things differently. I'd love to heal that and I'd love to spend my life with you. That's remorse. And remorse comes from, doesn't have to be a love relationship. It could be what went down within a family or what went down in a friendship or a work colleague. Genuine remorse means I see you as a flesh and blood human being and I feel your soul and I have empathy for you. That's remorse. Regret is completely different. Regret is more about, I'm really sorry and sad. I don't have access to what you offered me. So it could be things like sex, money, somewhere to live, social standing, the benefits that came with you, the fact that you did so many things for me, that you supported me in the way that you did, the way that my life was easier when I was with you. In other words, I regret the state of my life now that I'm not with you. Now, sadly, the truth is that a lot of narcissists regret the loss of you, but they don't have remorse for the loss of you. And there is a massive difference. So if somebody is simply regretting, they're missing you because they regret not having you in your life, they're going to reoffend. You're going to get back together, nothing is going to be different, and you're going to go through exactly the same things again. Now, unfortunately, before we're healed up enough about this and we've done enough work on ourselves to be really conscious about what is required for a rebuild, we can easily mistake regret as remorse. And we could even hear this person say something like, well, I tried to move on and there was nobody out there like you, and that's why I'm back. You don't want to hear that because really what they're saying is, I regret that I couldn't replace you. I know you're a really good person and I miss what you did for me, but I tried to replace you. Now, that's not remorse for why things went down the way they did and the problems that happened in the relationship. And I want to heal and grow myself beyond those things so that I can be a healthy partner and a better human being for you. Just let me know if this is making sense. Tell me if this is making sense to you, because it's really important to understand the difference. And that's generally how a narcissistic person will speak. And it's a really good question to ask somebody if they want to come back into your life. What is it about me you miss? What is it about me that you miss? Are they going to talk about you as who you are, or are they going to talk about what you brought to the table? Because it's a very, very different thing. And what you understand in a narcissist when you're trying to do conflict resolution, when the problems happen, when they violate you, when they do something narcissistic, and eventually you end up saying something or even going into reactive abuse yourself because you are so triggered and you are so broken and you are so over it that you react and you're devastated and you're angry and you're standing up for yourself. What you get to see in conflict resolution with a narcissist is they don't care about you. They actually do not care about your soul, your feelings, your breakdown, what you're going through. They do not care about your soul at all. There is no remorse. There is no accountability. There's no responsibility taken for the behavior. Unless there's accountability and responsibility, there's no remorse. If there's no remorse, there's no amends, there's no growth. And what that means is there will always be reoffending. Always. So somebody regretting not having you in their life is nowhere near enough for you to be able to be safe to reconnect with somebody. There has to be complete and utter remorse and genuine remorse. Okay, this needs to really make sense. And there's that massive difference between, and you'll see it in the conflict resolution when the problems actually happened, that they didn't lean in, they didn't come towards, they didn't seek to understand. A narcissist will create a narrative in their head, which is their narrative, and they have no empathy for anything outside of that narrative. And that narrative could be way off kilter, could bear absolutely no resemblance to the truth of what is even happening. Because what a narcissist does is create a reality to be able to buffer the false self. I'm going to make up in my mind the version of things that preserves my false self and makes it above reproach. So it's not even real, it's a delusion. So they cannot threaten the popping, the exposure of the delusion by looking at the reality. And that is why they won't listen to your version of things at all. They're not interested in your feelings or your version. So this isn't partnership. This is competition. This is me versus you. This is I'm superior, you're inferior. So after the breakup, when you've already been jumping up and down and you've been saying, well, these are the problems and these are the issues and this is what's breaking my heart and this is what's continually happening, which the narcissist refused to take responsibility for and be accountable for and remorseful. And then you have the separation period. And if the narcissist discovers the grass isn't greener, they weren't able to replace you, hang on, all of a sudden life doesn't work without you in the picture because of all the heavy lifting that you did in the relationship, that's when they can start to regret the breakup. So that's when they can start to hoover and love bomb. But this is where you have to be very, very mindful and very deliberate in ascertaining, are you genuinely remorseful, or do you just regret not having me in your life? If you get back together under the premise of regret, you're going to go through a shocking time because nothing's been healed, nothing's been learnt. There's been no growth. The narcissist hasn't done any inner work, hasn't faced their demons that cause the behavior. So therefore, there's going to be no up leveling at all. It's just, I want to get back in the fold so I can get my hands on the goodies again, or so I can escape these feelings that are triggered within me, which are my ego injuries of abandonment or that you've moved on. And it's interesting how narcissists will only regret when you're already moving on. Because if you are attacking, or if you want revenge, or you're trying to expose them, or doing all those things, you're feeding the narcissist's false self narrative of how shocking you are, what a piece of dirt you are, how valueless you are, how you're the crazy person, which they're upholding to all and sundry around them, which is an ego feed and ego identity. And they don't want to pierce that. They don't want to break that. They don't want to say, no, that's actually not the reality. This person's in reactive abuse because of all of the disgusting things I did to them. They're going to retain the ego buffer, the false self buffer of, see, this is the abuser, this is the crazy person. So you're just feeding the bear for them to absolutely devalue and discard you and keep that going on their narrative. It's the people who do detach, do the inner work. A lot of people on our narcissistic abuse recovery program who start really doing the inner work and detach and pull away. It's difficult, it's hard, but they do it. They're the people that the narcissist starts to think, I miss you. Absolutely. And this is when the hoovers come. This is when the love bombing comes. Because there's kind of that quiet and there's that detached energy where the narcissist starts to think, oh, I miss what you did. I miss what you brought to the table. Narcissists miss people who go missing away from them. They don't miss people who are at them and want revenge and try to expose them. And you're just the enemy. You're the nutcase. You're the one that was the problem in their delusion. They don't see why you're doing that. So I really wanted to bring forth the thing about regret and remorse to understand this deeply. How can you try out if somebody is remorseful about what they did and what they put you through and wanting to come back for the right reasons? It's very, very simple, beautiful people. Bring up a conversation where you say, I need accountability and I need to address what happened, the problems, why I left, why I kept going out of your life, why I knew I had to live without you. I want to address, fully face and address with you what happened to see if you're going to be accountable for it and if you're remorseful for it. Now, if you're dealing with a false self, that is the last thing they want to hear, because they were hoping to brush it all under the carpet, just say things like, I love you, I miss you, you're my one and only, you're my love of my life, I'm sorry. Sorry about what? Exactly. And you love me enough to what? The word I love you, the words I love you, and even the words I'm sorry. What? For what? Exactly. And what you'll discover is when you'll know straight away when you're trying to have that conversation with somebody about true remorse. True remorse goes like, I know I did this to you. I know it was horribly painful. I feel horrible for what I put you through. And I will do all that I can to repair and heal that and be the person who you can be safe with so that you never have to go through that again. And I'll do whatever it takes to heal and develop myself to that place. Now, there could be a narcissist listening to this. I'm thinking, oh, beautiful, Melanie, you've just given me the keys to the castle. But then you need to poke it with a stick. What does that mean exactly? And that doesn't mean that we get back together straight away in any shape or form. You need to go do that work. You need to seriously look at that. And you need to be able to grant me the evidence that you have. And until you do that, I'm never going to risk myself at that level again. Because when we've got to the point of you're in this community for a reason, which generally means you've been narcissistically abused, which means you've been lied to, you've been gaslit, you've had the rug pulled out from underneath you, you've been treated with abject cruelty that has shredded your soul. These are serious things. Serious things. What I've seen time and time again is when people have got back with people simply because that person regrets not having them in their life, but is not genuinely remorseful, is the second time back round, or third, or fourth, or fifth, is worse than every time before. For a couple of reasons. One is because a person who's not in accountability has a false self. It's all about them. It's not about partnership, team, and empathy. So what happens with the false self is they kind of get a foothold in there, and then the false self starts saying, in its competitiveness superiority, how dare you have thought you could leave me? How dare you do that? So what comes up is this nasty revenge. And also that nasty revenge of, I'm going to put you in a situation where you can never do that to me again. And if you ever try to do that to me again, I'll destroy you. I've seen it happen so many times that the cruelty, the lies, the gaslighting, the cheating, the malicious acts escalate on a reconnect. Say yes if you've been through that. Because a lot of people in narcissistic abuse, they go through more than one cycle. They often get back together, they try again, not always, but often. Let me know if you've experienced that, because it is disgusting. It's so bad. The other reason I believe why second time around, if it's not a correct rebuild that has a foundation of remorse, authenticity, honesty, personal growth, accountability, the other reason is because your soul is evicting you out of this experience. Because our souls are ingenious, they're connected with source and our higher truth, and our souls often turn up the volume so loud and so horrible that the thought of leaving becomes less scary than the thought of staying. We're literally limping out of there to save our own lives. And often that happens on the reconnect. You reconnect, things get so bad, so shocking, you know that you've got to leave to save your soul. It's that bad. And that's meant to happen. It doesn't make your healing or your rebuild easily, but it's the wake-up call you needed to know that this is not going to work. It gets worse. It gets worse and worse and worse. There are relationships that can rebuild 100%. It's not easy, it's not often, it's actually rare. And the reason why it's rare is because there's a level of personal responsibility, accountability, remorse, inner work, personal growth that has to take place. Narcissists are not capable of that. They can feign it, but they don't even feign it well. They don't even act it out well. And there's very easy ways that you can tell. And the easy way that you can tell is ask them what they miss about you. And then ask them, are they remorseful? Can we fully address what happened with you owning it and being responsible for it and being accountable? Let's go through it, blow by blow. Let's go through what happened. Not the delusional reality that you created in your head, which you're going to find out about very quickly, with the 5-year-old tit for tats, going off topic, bringing in unrelated things, focusing on a minute in detail in the events that means nothing. Insanity. You'll see it very, very clearly. Okay, so I just wanted to jump in, guys. I wanted to have this conversation. Maybe there's somebody who really needs to hear this tonight. And maybe, you're reconsidering and you're missing this person, of course. The reasons why you're missing this person is because of a trauma bond, is because getting off a narcissist feels like you are literally going through the withdrawal of a significant addiction. And you really, really are. Physiologically, chemically, you've been going through cortisol, dopamine, cortisol, dopamine, cortisol, dopamine, and you get addicted to the source of that. And you go through aftershock when you're off the addiction, where you feel like, I love this person, I can't live without them, I miss them. But it's a literal physiological withdrawal. It's massive, it's huge. And this is why you need to really support yourself and heal the right way to be able to get off that addiction and not fall for either yourself going back, where you're giving up pieces of yourself and your own boundaries to try to hang on to that addiction, or you're susceptible to that person having regret that they can't get all the things that you were offering them, yet they didn't have the capacity. They don't love their own souls. They don't love themselves. They don't have the ability to love your soul and your person as a person. False selves don't do that. They can't do that. But you don't want to fall, because they regret not having you in their life because the grass wasn't greener and they couldn't immediately replace you. It's very important to understand. Or they want to get back with you for revenge. And often that's the case. All right, beautiful people. They don't deserve one more chance. Eve is saying, has anybody got a question about this that they would like to ask? Lottie's saying, I want to love and protect myself and my loved ones, but sometimes I might, even though I try everything not to, I might hurt somebody. That scares me. Okay, I'm not kind of sure what you're saying there, Lottie. All right. Okay, so we're out of time. America's asleep. There's not a whole heap of people here, but I hope that people watch this replay and it's really helpful to them. And make sure you share this video with people that it can help. Okay, I think that's really important. People may need to hear this. And if you're really struggling to get off the trauma of a narcissist, okay, Lottie, I'm glad that's helpful. And if you're struggling to get off the trauma of a narcissist, check out my Narcissistic Abuse Recovery Program. Deep inner healing to detox them, purge them out of your system, and get off that horrible, horrible trauma bond trip of cortisol, dopamine, and connect to serotonin, which is our true well-being and our true source, soul, wholeness, subconscious connection. So when we heal quantumly, you come home to yourself, and a false self becomes completely irrelevant. That's how we get off them and resist them. All right, darlings. Oh, Kate, it's 5 a.m. in New York City. You're up nice and early. Yeah, it's my pleasure, sweetheart. I'm going to jump more on YouTube's. It might be funky times, but, I'm going to jump more on these lives when I can. All right. I was just with a client tonight and she said the last live you did was so, so helpful about overcoming PTSD. So I just want to get on about these really important topics that people are struggling with. Kate, you're immediately doing the modules. That's awesome. That's so good. And it was like my client I did Quanta Freedom Healing with today, a dear, beautiful woman in our community. And, she kind of hasn't been doing the healings and it built up too much for her. And I was able to help her out. But if you've got NARP, you get those triggers, you can go and do those modules, and then you get strong and solid and aligned again. So important when there's narcissists sniffing around and you're going through the traumas with them, because you're really in those hot spots, All right. I love you too, Tara. Gorgeous. All right, everybody. Lots of love, and we'll talk again soon. Okay. Bye-bye. Hope this helped.